Hello, welcome to Seniors at Play. I am your host, Zoe, and I would like to introduce Mr. Fred Vereen Jr., aka Nubby. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, fine.
So your nickname is Nubby.
Yes.
How did you get that nickname?
Well, in ninth grade, we had metal shop, and sometimes we'd have a lax in time. So I went up to the teacher and I said, we had center punches. They're little metal things like that you use to make holes in metal.
Okay.
And I said, do you want me to sharpen those center punches? He said, yes. And so I grabbed one and went on the emery wheel.
Okay.
And I was holding it, and my hand slipped. And the next thing I know, it just took my finger right off.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it was off until I looked down and my piece was on the floor.
Yeah, the fingertip, huh?
Yeah. And so, and actually, during that time, I stayed in the hospital for a whole week just for this little thumb.
Just for that little thumb, huh?
Now you're in and out.
Yes.
And I worked at a gas station in Eggers Crossing, and he gave me the nickname Nubby.
Nubby.
Yeah.
Because of that little nub.
Yep, and that's been with me
ever since.
Ever since.
Huh. That's nice. It's nice to have nicknames. I wish I had a little, affectionate nickname like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Okay. So I want to start with your educational background, if you don't mind telling me a little bit, about your high school career and beyond.
Well, there's no beyond. I graduated from Trenton High in 1951, and then the National Guard Armory, which is right up the street, right in Eggers, on Eggers Crossing Road, I got a job there as a janitor, groundkeeper. I was 17 years old, and actually I stayed there for 17 years, and cutting grass, painting, cleaning apartments, and it wasn't until the 60s when Lyndon Baines Johnson started the war on poverty, and we had a community action program. The Mercer County Community Action, and then townships had a community action program. And our neighborhood was so bad, Eggers Crossing, so the community and the Lawrence Township Council said, we'll find a way to help the people in Eggers Crossing, because we all lived in substandard housing. Not all. There was a few, but most of us had outside toilets and pig pens in the backyard. If you see Eggers Crossing now, you wouldn't visualize it being what it was then when we were kids.
Right.
And so we had a community action program, and we had churches throughout the town and organizations and concerned people who came, and we first developed a neighborhood center, a little small building which rehabbed, and I became the director.
Okay.
We got funded for, we wrote a proposal, we got funded for a director and a community outreach person and a secretary. And I left my job after 17 years, and that's when I started doing community work. And one of the things that we said was a great need was housing.
Okay.
And we formed a nonprofit corporation called Lawrence Nonprofit Housing, and got funded, and took us 6 years because we had 2 lawsuits. We had to sue the zoning board, Lawrence Township Zoning Board, who wouldn't give us the necessary regulations to build it. And we had a citizens group who also put in a suit against us because they didn't want a low and moderate income housing built in Lawrence, and they didn't want those people from Trenton coming out here. And but after 6 years, we finally, broke ground in '74, and so I was president of the corporation, and then I went into management. I left,
Okay.
and Mr. Brown, who's out there now, Harold Brown, then he became president of the corporation.
Okay.
And then that led me into a whole new, different career.
Okay.
I went and took courses and got my real estate license, and then I really started helping other communities form a nonprofit and build housing.
Oh, okay.
And so then my next project was Architects Housing.
Really? Okay, so exactly what year did you begin your management for Eggers Crossing, and what was your attribution to the foundation of Eggers Crossing?
Well, I was, it was 1974 when I started managing that. Mm-hmm. And at the beginning, we really had to organize the community. We had public meetings, public hearings, and it got so big they had to use the junior high school auditorium because we had large community groups coming out against us. Mm. And but we had really worked and did our homework and went to any group. We said any group or any church that wants to hear what we're trying to do, we'd come and speak. And we spoke to 18 groups. And by doing that, we got a lot of people on our side. And when we had public hearings, they combated the ones who were against us.
Okay.
So, but it triggered me into a whole new, different way of life, and working to provide better housing for people. And we moved 12 families out of substandard housing in our own community into into that development.
That's awesome. It's always great to give back to the community, especially those, in housing, because everyone wants to feel like they have a safe and stable place to stay.
Right.
So I really appreciate that you played a part that way. So how long, how many years were you a part of Eggers Crossing before you decided to switch over to managing Architect Housing?
Well, it was 5 years after we opened Eggers Crossing that I went into managing Architects Housing.
Okay.
And then after that, I worked with a group in Heightstown, a church, and helped them form a corporation. And they built 102 senior citizen housing. I was managing all three at the same time.
Really?
And I retired. I left Heightstown. I managed that one for 14 years. Then I left Eggers after 34 years in 2008. And I retired from Architects last year after 37 years.
Oh, wow. You definitely put your time in.
Yeah.
So did you find it overwhelming to manage multiple housing, 3 to be exact at a time?
No.
No?
No. What you do is, I wish I could have gotten more young people into this field. What you do, you have a staff at each place.
Okay.
And you manage your staff.
Okay.
Your staff operates your facility,
mm-hmm.
but they operate it the way you want it to do it. And I have had good successes in providing good housing for people.
That's awesome. And it's good that you were able to train them ideally because, in the end, they're a reflection of you. You're training them and they're taking care of, the details for you. So that's
right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you said that you retired from Architect Housing last year. When did you decide that it was time, I'm done with managing, it's time for me to relax?
Well, I was 84 this year, so.
Happy 84th.
Yeah, so I said it's time. I want to put all my stuff together, mm-hmm. and at some point have somebody come in and sit down with me and put it in perspective in a book or something, because housing, what I'm saying now, is only a little part of what I've done. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of community work, groundwork. So
that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So you were just overall prepared financially, mentally, physically. You were just ready.
Yeah, not financially. Yeah, I've been blessed. Yeah, so financially I was ready, and mentally, but I'm still active. We started a after school program in Eggers in the low and moderate income housing, because our kids in 2000, our children, when they went to kindergarten, mm-hmm. They were behind of the more affluent children.
Okay.
And they never caught up. As they moved from grade to grade, they got further and further behind. So, and what was happening, they were putting our kids into special classes, special education classes. Mm-hmm. And we had young folks who would graduate from high school, go to college, and the next year they're right back home because they weren't prepared.
Right.
So we started an after-school program called Every Child Valued. And we partnership with the Board of Ed. ETS provides services and helps us raise funds. Mm-hmm. Rider University, we utilize the resources around us to help us do what needs to be done. We not only work with the children, but we also work with the whole family.
I love that. That's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. So housing, children, mm-hmm. you're definitely all for giving back. And I really appreciate that, because I've worked with children for 6 years, so I know what that sort of work entails.
Yeah, so I'm still on the board of Lawrence Nonprofit, and I'm still on the board of the Every Child Valued.
Okay, you're just not doing so much work
right
now. Understood. Mm-hmm. So, since you're not really doing so much work, how do you spend your time? What do you like to do?
Well, I'm active in my church, and those two boards mm-hmm. keep me going. And I like to work outside.
Okay.
It's given me a chance now to do things outside. Before, when I was working, I only had Saturday to do things. Now I catch myself trying to do everything in one day, and I say, wait a minute, I got tomorrow now.
Right. Totally. So what sort of things do you like to do outside?
Well, I like to cut my own firewood. Okay. I have a fireplace, and I like to burn my fireplace. And now that I'm not retired, I have a fire almost every night when it's cold. I cut my own grass, I rake my own leaves, and I don't have that small of a yard, so I used to have somebody do that, pay somebody to do that. Now I do that myself. Mm-hmm. I do a little gardening. Right now, I say to myself, I had more time when I was working mm-hmm. than I do now.
Really? Mm-hmm. Because you like to fill up as much as your time, so it's like, on to the next project, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some things you like to garden? More so flowers or vegetables?
Both. Flowers.
Both.
I love flowers, and I plant flowers all around my house, and I have a small garden.
Okay. So, it's that season. It's almost Christmas, so, viewers can imagine how cold it is outside.
Yeah.
Does that hinder you from wanting to do your outside work, or do you continue? Just wrap up, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
I don't really like to be outside. It's too cold for me. Even though my birthday's in November, it's cold.
Yeah.
I don't really care for it. But I'm glad that you're able to, you're in good health to be able to chop firewood, which mm-hmm. I probably couldn't do, mm-hmm. and garden and rake and everything like that. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Totally. So what's your family life like? You know, do you have children? Are you married, divorced, dating?
No, my wife passed away in '95, and my daughter and grandson live with me.
Okay.
So they're the family.
That's nice.
Yeah, and that's, my daughter loves to cook, and so every chance you get, we have 6, 7. Thanksgiving we had about 15 people, family and friends, and so we always got people at our house.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Food definitely brings people together.
Yeah.
So besides your daughter's cooking, are there any other activities that you guys like to do together as a family?
Well, I'm trying to get them to go to church more with me.
Okay.
But no, we don't. We seem to go our separate ways. Every once in a while, we have cousins who have parties that my daughter goes to. Every once in a while, they'll get me to go to a party or a birthday party or something. They since I'm the oldest one in the family, they love to see me be a part of whatever they're doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, it's very important to cherish all the moments that we have here together.
That's right.
Yeah, I feel like we take advantage of the family that we have. You know, we get so caught up in day-to-day work, school, responsibilities that we kind of forget, you know, the quality time is essential.
Right.
So I hope you guys definitely get to, you know, spend more quality time together and get them in church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to pray on that, okay?
All the time.
All the time.
Yes,
That's right. Okay. So is retirement overall what you imagine it would be?
I don't even call myself retired.
Okay.
No, people say, "Are you retired?" I said, "I'm tired, but I'm not retired."
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I really don't. I like having the time that I have to do more things. You know, like laying in bed for an extra hour when I want to. Not really having to jump up and get ready and go out. And I haven't been retired a year yet. So
it's all pretty new still.
Yeah, and you know, there's still a lot of things that around the house that I have to do, and I keep, you know, checking myself and say, you know, if the good Lord let you live long enough, you did get it done. Just don't push it.
Right,
you know?
right. You don't have to push yourself. It's no rush, right?
Yeah.
So, is there any other career path that you could have possibly been interested in? Like, you know, while you were in Trenton High, prior to you beginning your work as a janitor, while you were in school, was there, you know, anything that you was actually interested in going into, or you were just, you know, mainly looking for work after graduation?
Yeah. The only thing, I love sports, and I played sports.
Okay.
And that's the only thing I really wanted to do.
Okay.
I really wanted to play sports, but it just wasn't. I wasn't exceptional,
Right.
but I was okay.
Right.
And being okay was not good enough.
Yeah.
And but there was, I knew I didn't have the courses and whatnot to go to college.
Okay.
And so, you know, I just took the meaningful, you know, I look upon working as a janitor for 17 years at what I did as preparing me for being a manager. Because being a manager, the most important thing is caring for a building and knowing how your outside should look, taking care of your grass and all that. And that's all I did.
Right.
And so I said, so, and the other thing that I took courses in school, like typing, you know, when for male to take typing back then, it wasn't the norm.
Right.
And typing has helped me all through being a manager. I mean, even with the computer, you know, being able to do the keyboard on the computer, that it's been a real asset to me.
That's good. That's awesome. So what kind of sports, if you don't mind me asking, like what exactly did you like to play?
Baseball.
Baseball, really?
Yeah.
So no basketball, no football?
I played basketball. In the service, I played baseball and basketball. When a 20-year-old league in Trenton, I played baseball. I used to watch, you know, at Dunn Field, there was a field in right there where the Lottery Commission is now. That was a baseball diamond there.
Okay.
And that's where Willie Mays first came up, and with the Trenton Giants. And there was a Negro National League, and there was a Newark team that played in that Negro National League, and they used to play their home team. They used to play about 6 home games at Dunn Field, and whenever they came, the stands used to be full of black people, and I would be the first one there. But that was baseball was
your passion.
My love, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My little brother really likes baseball too. I have to tell him about you.
Yeah.
He really likes baseball as well. So is there anything you think you would do differently, you know, if you can do it all over again, starting with high school? Is there anything that you would change in your path?
I often think about that, say if I'd have went to college, would I have the compassion to do things for people as I had coming up? I don't know. I think the path that I took, I think it really was one that I was supposed to be in.
Right.
And because in our community, Eggers Crossing, when I was a kid, when we were growing up in Eggers Crossing, we had 6 or 7 black-owned businesses right there in that little community. Okay. And I worked for all of them, and they were my mentors. As I look back, you know, they are the ones that, unbeknown to them, that really guided me into the path that I've taken. And it just seems like, as I look back, that they said it was meant for me to stay there in Eggers Crossing, because I built my house the next street over from where I live. And when I had my 80th birthday, we had an affair, a celebration of my 80th birthday to raise money for our after-school program. Okay. And the town, they surprised me and named my road after me. So my road is called Vereen Jr. Road. Wow. And
oh, that's so honorable.
And every time I go to show somebody my license, or I'm on the telephone, and you know how you have to give your address, and there's always a pause.
Yeah.
Is that right, what you said? Yes, yes. Oh, that's so cool, you know. And I get a lot of comments on that. But I have to tell them the story.
Yeah, of course.
A little bit of the story, that, hey, they didn't just give this to me.
Right. I worked for this.
I worked for this.
Yes.
And so.
That's right.
And I said the best part about it, they didn't wait until I was 6 feet under to do it.
Love it.
Yeah.
You get to live on your street. That is awesome. I love that. I feel as though God definitely knew what he was doing when he mapped everything out for you from the start. You know, you saying that you worked for the black business owners in your community, and then you working as a janitor, prepping you for management. I feel as though, you know, everything happens for a reason, you know? You know, college isn't for everybody. Doesn't work for everybody. Your alternative has definitely blessed a lot of people. You giving back to the community and children. You know, you're definitely blessed. And I really do appreciate you. And I want to thank you on behalf of everyone who was positively affected by your efforts.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's been good.
It's been awesome talking to you. I'm so glad I got to meet you. All right, guys. So we're going to end it here. Again, I'm your host, Zoe Leverett. Thank you for joining us with Seniors at Play.